All right guys, today we are in VN Wagon. Now this is a V6 VN Wagon. Now you might be thinking, why are you doing a video on this, Deacon? You've got plenty of VN videos, and there we go. We've done plenty of VN videos, and this has, you know, 250,000 Ks, auto, V6. Why are you doing a video on this car? And as you can see, the interior is extremely good, especially the headlining on this car, and we'll have a look around it in a few minutes. But one of the reasons why I wanted to drive this car and why I've so excitedly accepted the offer to loan this car out is because this is probably one of the best examples of a survivor car that I've had on the channel. A lot of the other ones, including some of my own, while they are fantastic, they have been played with a little bit, and the only thing that has happened to this one is it's just been lowered a little bit, but not much, not distasteful. It still has the original hubcaps. It's got, yeah, it just looks fantastic. So what we'll do is I will show you that at the end, but before that I'm just going to go for a drive for maybe 5 minutes or so and sort of give you my thoughts. Now, one of the things with these cars is, you know, old windy window there, and listen to this. Oh, I might have thrown a battery terminal. 1 second. Actually, I guess it's a good example for me to show you the engine bay while I throw this terminal back on. Here's the old mighty Buick. Oh, yep, negative terminal has just come off. Now, and you know what, I will keep this in the video because this is what happens when you are test driving very, very old cars. You know, this car's from the 80s. All right, we'll have a look at it later. And there we go. That's better. And one of the reasons I wanted to include this car is a lot of Aussies will have memories in these, and whether that's as a P-plater or, you know, as their parents' car or whatever. And again, this one is just a great example. And, you know, again, it's not quite a rare car really, but oh, poor old girl. It's all right, I'll get back to it. Okay, so we are back in a much different spot. So it turns out I'd run out of fuel. I didn't realize that the gauge actually, when it gets to a quarter, it's empty. So ran out of fuel, had to go get a taxi to the servo, put in 5 litres, drove this, filled it up, and we're back in business. But now we're in a nice quiet spot, so I thought that I'd just quickly show you the outside of this car. And this thing is really, really cool. I absolutely love this, and I love these old plastic protection, but look at this thing. It is dead original. The one thing that's happened to it is it has been lowered just a little bit, but everything else is as it was back in 1989. It hasn't been restored, it hasn't been painted. I think the only thing that's been done is the pinstripes just on the bumpers there, but it's got the original hubcaps, it's got its mud flaps. It's just, I mean, you just don't see them like this anymore, do you? They just are not like this at all, because they have been a cheap car for so long, and, you know, arguably they still are. These cars have often ended up in paddocks or through a fence by a P-plater or whatever, so it's pretty rare to see one that's untouched and in as good condition as this one. And like I said, it didn't break down before. It wasn't actually the car's fault. It was my fault, and the owner did tell me about the fuel thing. I've just been driving so many VNs lately, I totally forgot about it. So we'll just chuck this in and listen to this. Fantastic. Now, for any of the international viewers, and there's actually quite a few, this car has the Buick 3800, which in the US was in so many motors, and here in Australia we got this in the rear wheel drive configuration, and this is in this is a 1989 or 88, I believe. And yeah, it's just, they're such good motors. I know a lot of people, you know, rag on them for doing bottom ends and stuff, but I think the majority of that is because people give these cars such a hard time. And if you drive it like a normal car and service them normally, they absolutely last forever and ever. These things, they're just great cars. And you know, whether you're Ford or Holden or whatever, I don't think that it's really even up for debate, because they're just great cars. They're just great, reliable cars. And you know, like, again, this is an old car now. These have been on historic plates since 2013, you know, so at least in here in Victoria. And it's really cool. This car is really a testament, probably more to the owner than the car itself, because the owner of this car really looks after his gear, and it really shows on this car. And as you can see, a lot of the base model ones, which this is an absolute base model, it doesn't even have a rev counter. So you got your speedo, your fuel gauge there, and your temperature gauge. So what actually happened before, when I ran out of fuel, is I still had a quarter of a tank. I didn't realize that a quarter was completely empty in this car, and I think because I'd parked on that little off the road bit, it was just enough that it was just getting no fuel to it. So that's okay, is what it is. I probably will do a full overview of this car, because again, it's not that it's a particularly rare model or anything like that, but you just don't see them like this now. They've all been stuffed with or LS converted. You know, it's pretty what am I trying to say? It's pretty Spartan that you get one that has been untouched. I mean, as you can hear, it's even got its stock exhaust, and I really enjoy driving original examples of these cars, because especially when I was a P plater, you know, I'm 28 now. Oh Jesus, maybe, sorry, getting a bit excited. I'm 27 actually. And when I was on my Ps, nobody cared about VNs, and I'm sure a lot of people that watch my videos can relate to that, because it wasn't that long ago. And I don't know, I'm glad that I'm in the era of these cars being saved, because they're cool. They are cool, and they're of an era of Australia that is gone, and you know, the local manufacturing and all of that stuff. And you know, I'm not going to get into that, but they're just cool. They're great, reliable cars, and they're built to last. And I'm not just talking about Fords. I'm not just talking about Holdens. You know, Fords and a lot of the Japanese stuff from that era. All of that gear was built to last. I do think that age is catching up with a lot of these cars now, and you know, you can't really blame them. They're nearing 40 years old, but some of these cars are having ECU problems, and I hear that a lot now with a lot of my friends that have these cars, that it's just age is catching up. Although granted, they almost always start, especially my VN. I've got a white one of these, a white sedan with 150 on it, and that thing is reliable as anything. And this car is too. It's just obviously I was the one that let the car down earlier in the video. I don't know. I know it might seem lame, especially if you're a bit older and you're watching these videos. You know, you'd be thinking, why are you so excited about driving these things when you probably used to scrap them and get perfectly good ones for $10 and wreck them around a paddock? And I get it, because I mean, I can't say I've done that, but I definitely have seen it happen. And I've seen people do worse things than that and get original grandpa spec ones and just thrash the guts out of them. But especially wagons, there just doesn't seem to be many good wagons left. And actually, I posted a lot of videos about I've got a VS wagon. It's sort of in similar condition. It's probably a little bit better paint and panel wise, but I've never had so many people ask if they're for sale. And again, it's not really the value of it, like financial value. It's not that makes them desirable. It's more the fact that you just don't find them anymore. And you know, that doesn't mean that they're expensive, but they are rare, and it is cool. Every now and then you get to see one that is all original, and I love the dealership pinstripes on this, and a lot of that has disappeared from newer cars, you know. So if you guys remember, a lot of the like Hyundai XLs and a lot of those cars sort of from this era have it. My mate's got a VN Calais that's got it as well, and really, I don't know why they went away. It's kind of a shame. In terms of how does this car drive, it's incredibly smooth. It's nice and smooth, but you would expect that. It's pretty stock height. I think, unfortunately, I don't think the gearbox is probably the healthiest. Sometimes this car struggles a little bit to find reverse, and it holds on to first for a while, a lot longer than it should. But you know what? It's not slipping, and it still drives great. So I'm not really going to worry about it too much. Sorry, I just sort of went this way because there was just so much traffic. But you know, this car isn't fast. I'm not going to be racing between the lights. It's more just, I don't know, it's just a comfy old cruiser. You could get, I believe you could get bench seats in these as well, like 3 abreast. But, oh, sorry, I thought I could turn right here. Well, looks like I'm doing a U-turn. It's another thing with these cars as well, they seem to have, and I can understand it, but they don't have the best reputation. And not mechanically, I mean by like what people do to these cars and be idiots in them. And it is easy to do that. Like, you can pretty much just do a burnout or break, you know, do things that'll lose your license in 2 seconds, and the car will do it easily, and this car would as well. But I don't like that. It's not, what's the point of doing that, you know? And you can kind of hear it just holds on to first a little bit long, this car. So, and I'm not, you know, I'm not thrashing it. But other than that, it drives really great. It's when you don't run out of fuel on the side of the road. I'll see if I can get to 100, and that'll probably be it, because again, I'm not going to drag it out too much. It's a V6 Commodore. A lot of people in Australia will have been in one of these, I would have thought, especially if you've got some years on you. You would have owned one, or your parents would have owned one, or your mates would have owned one brand new, or whatever. For me, it's been my parents' dad's. I do remember one of my mates had a VP Wagon, and the thing was absolutely cooked. But actually, I'll go straight. One thing I do like about these cars, though, is just, you know, as you can see, the visibility is just fantastic. I mean, look how much you can see. And I mean, that comes at the expense of the A-pillars. You know, it is a bit of a shame that you don't get these kind of cars anymore, this shape of wagon, outside of like a Subaru or something similar to that. But what are you going to do? All right, guys, I really appreciate you watching. And look, I know it's a little bit shorter, and I'm not doing 0 to 100s and everything, but that's not what really this car is about. It's a stock auto V6 Commodore as well. You know, it's not that kind of video, but it is cool. It's a bit of a time warp of a car, and again, the car itself isn't rare, but there's not that many left like this. So I really enjoy having these cars and sharing them, and if you think you have one that would be great on the channel, please get in touch. Not just VN or VS, pretty much anything I'm into. I'm really into cars, as you can probably tell. VN or VS are definitely one of my favorites, but it is cool to try everything, even stuff that, you know, I don't really like. I'll probably do an overview of this particular car, and I do have a lot of cool cars lined up. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, please follow along, subscribe, and thank you for watching.